Hey there, everyone. It's actually nighttime right now, and I'm recording this before I go to bed. You know, um, so, uh, Today was a very interesting day. Um, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about my feelings about the video and talk a little bit about my observations. So for those who didn't know, on my main channel, I released a video criticizing Deleuze Guattari Quarantine Collective, who is largely run by a guy named Brooks. And I think, so something that happens every time I release a video is that, I kind of think about the process of what is produced, when I create a video. That's part of the reason why I really like engaging with the comments, right? And, it kind of, I think it revealed something really interesting to me. So, first, I want to say something. I think YouTube viewers have been very heavily conditioned to believe that if somebody wants to make a video complaining about somebody, it seems like you have to have like encyclopedic knowledge about that person in order for it to be legitimate. And to be honest, that was never really my intention. I made this video because I have had a serious problem with Brooks for a long time. First it was that Syrian war thing, and I have the data pack. I haven't downloaded it because we went out of town actually for unrelated reasons, but we are actually out of state right now, so I'm gonna wait until I get back to even dig through that. And we're also trying to move out, and we're gonna be homeless for a little while at least. So we're gonna be living in a van. It's not too bad. We have a lot of cool gadgets. It's going to make it a lot easier. But I kind of wanted to wait to be able to reveal that, but unfortunately, I kind of feel like I have to just reveal the news now. But yeah, no, it's actually not too bad. We've got a camping setup so we can cook and stuff, and we got a fridge. It's really nice actually, and just enough room to sleep. So, but when we can find a place, we will be settling down. But for now, we'll be on the road, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But yeah, and that's part of the reason why I made this very quickly, because basically what happened was, Brooks has been pissing me off for a long time. I kind of let the Syrian war thing slide for a while because I didn't really want to stir drama for a while. And I have brought it up a few times because it freaks me out. Every time I hear people complain about this, I bring it up with them. I'm like, yeah, did you know that he did this too? This is the kind of guy he is. He's kind of a weirdo. And to be clear, what I don't like about this guy, I didn't say it in the video because I didn't want to accuse him of anything specific. I just kind of wanted to get my feelings out. But to be clear, this is my opinion, but I feel like he's kind of a self-insert industry plant. That's kind of the impression that he gives me. It's not the problem. The problem is not that he has a company or that he had a company or that he wants to do things. The problem is that if you read his LinkedIn posts, he reads like every other LinkedInoid. He doesn't, it's like he's a completely different person. This is the guy who's trying to tell you about political emancipation. It's I get that you got to do a song and dance sometimes, but it seems to me that he hasn't gotten past that point, right? I almost wonder that if something that might even help him is kind of distancing himself from that. A big part of a big development in my life was getting away from the tech industry, and it was the best thing that I ever did. Just saying sayonara to these motherfuckers. I still program, I still do stuff. I mean, I haven't had enough time to finish any major projects, and the projects I have worked on are, I got them working up to a certain point, and then I got tired, and then I couldn't fix the bugs that popped up later, and you know how it is. But I made all these programs, and you know what? I didn't have to have my boss tell me to do them. I didn't have to do it for a market. I didn't have to do it for anything other than what I needed to do. And that made me really reevaluate my relationship with technology, and that's kind of part of the reason why I think it's important for, Brooks to analyze that. Now, let's talk a little bit about, when I point out parts in the video where I think he's being a bully, right? So to be clear, the reason why I mix up President Sunday with Brooks is, one, I don't actually know President Sunday very well. Like I just found out about him like a month ago, and I wasn't really impressed. He kind of just seemed like a like a debate bro. I was like, whatever. Um, I did note the plagiarism claims because I didn't look at the video, but I saw them and I felt like it was important to point out, to be as neutral as possible, to say, hey, I noticed this. So, but I've heard a lot of claims that sounds like a really dodgy video. I don't know why Brooks is supporting this person. Apparently, it sounds like honestly, like it sounds like they're a bad investment based on like what I've learned about this person, right? But yeah, and like, yes, it's true that Brooks doesn't directly say that Gavin is a baby, but he goes along with it. Like, I don't understand how you can watch that clip and be like, no, Brooks is like not implying that he also believes that Gavin is a baby. Like, he's complicit in it. Like, he's literally just like, yeah, that's the way I see it, and like, to me, that's the same thing. I, like, I understand that somebody's going to nitpick about it, but the point is still the same. He's still demeaning Gavin. Like, just because he's pretending to be nice about it doesn't make it any nicer. Like, put yourself in Gavin's shoes. Wouldn't you be a little upset if you saw that? Like, you wouldn't just be upset at Sunday. You'd be upset at Brooks. Like, if I was in Brooks's position, honestly, and my co-host said that, I would say something like, "Hey, come on now. Like, we haven't even seen what he has to say yet. You know, like if he's, you know what I mean, or you know, I feel like he's just not generous and, not kind. And I think that I proved pretty clearly that he was not kind. Now, there is one part of the video I do think I was not clear enough about. Now, when I'm criticizing Donald Trump, the whole Donald Trump thing, right? Um, so first off, I want to point out to this, potentially new group of people who've never seen my stuff before. Um, I'm a significantly I'm a significantly impaired individual, because I used to be crazy. I'm not technically diagnosed with schizophrenia, but I highly suspect I'm schizoaffective, and my actual diagnosis is bipolar 1 with psychosis. But the thing is that I have spent 3-4 years talking to people, and I'm pretty sure it's a misdiagnosis. I'm pretty sure it's schizoaffective. Um, for most things, it's pretty well managed and maintained, but it has impacts on you, right? And the biggest one is just kind of like a disorganization of thought. Like, it's very hard for me to organize my thoughts, and this particular problem that I have with this has been kind of hard for me to communicate, and I've been kind of fumbling on it. And I just want to say to the people that are, talking about that I really don't appreciate like how rude you're being about this. Like, I think the point is pretty clear about what I don't like about it. It's kind of hard to explain. Okay, so basically the issue I don't like about how he's criticizing Gavin is that how I perceived that segment of the clip, they stop the video and they're pausing as soon as he starts talking about Donald Trump, and they're like, oh geez, oh god, ugh, right? They're groaning at this guy. Like, what do you think that's saying, right? I'm not saying that, Brooks is a fascist. I don't think I ever said that in the video. What I did say, however, is that I think that Brooks is somehow implying some kind of mental gymnastics that Trump is not a fascist. And that doesn't mean that he doesn't believe that Trump isn't committing atrocities, but rather that it's some kind of big brained nitpick kind of thing where it's like, that's what he's like really mad about. Like, I am not calling him this. I am not saying that that's what he believes, right? And I feel like people who are like, I feel like this is kind of, I understand that it's kind of confusing, but I feel like the people who are criticizing this segment of video are not like being genuine or honest. And the thing that I again, this kind of goes back to the fact that this is not an expose. This is like my personal opinion on this guy. And I think I should be able to talk about this guy. And the reason why I made this video is because, you know, I think that other people who may have stronger opinions or people who may have like, you know, more expertise and technicalities than me, I'm notoriously like a informal, loose person. I understand these concepts very well and I can communicate about them, but I'm also, you know, imprecise. And, you know, I don't appreciate somebody who goes around and whips everyone for not having the level of precision that they expect. You know, there was a guy, I mean, to explain like why this is so antithetical to like Deleuze in general, you know, there was a guy in the comments who was telling me that it was actually a good thing that, you know, Brooks was whipping these people into shape, so to speak, because, you know, in physics, you know, everything is so precise and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but Deleuze is not like physics at all. Like, when it comes to physics, if you want to present an alternative, you have to demonstrate a level of precision that is incredibly difficult to imagine outside of the field, you know, like it's so intense that it's like, that's like the exact opposite of what Deleuze is. Deleuze is about, you know, multiple interpretations, you know, like take of it as you will, you know. One of those seminars that, that Schizoanalytic Onion is translating, Guattari says something along the lines of like, just take, you know, what you will from this, you know, whatever is useful to you, fuck it, that's what's useful to you, basically, right? And, you know, that's kind of the thing, like, with that kind of attitude, you're going to have like a countless number of interpretations. And so trying to insist on a particular interpretation is completely incorrect. You know, it's completely antithetical to the whole point of the project. And, you know, there's significant gaps in, you know, Brooks's knowledge. Like, something that occurred to me a lot while I was like doing the subtitles was that Brooks really doesn't seem to understand fascism under Deleuze and Guattari. Like, you know, I would highly recommend that Brooks reads Everybody Wants to Be a Fascist by Félix Guattari, because I think it does a really good job at explaining the relationship between fascism and, you know, desire. Like, if you can get past Guattari's weird writing, you'll get used to it. Don't worry. Yeah, if you connect it to Anti-Oedipus in the first chapter of Anti-Oedipus, I think it will be very clear how everything kind of clicks together, you know. And basically, what Guattari introduces that's quite different than what, you know, Brooks would suggest with just the subjectivity production is the specific fact that it's kind of like a runaway cycle, right? Where basically what happens is, it's kind of like a runaway cycle from like a sort of structured, you know, stable, like liberal structure, right? And what happens is it becomes like this sort of self-destructive pattern of rapid reterritorialization caused by repressed desires kind of coming out and then aggressively re-territorializing back. And that re-territorialization is what actually produces the repressive forces of fascism and what makes them so reactionary. And we can really see that in Donald Trump's current regime. And like, here's the deal, right? I don't want people to think like, oh, what does he say in general? What are Brooks's beliefs in general? That's not really what's the question here. Well, the question here is what somebody else sees when they see this. Like, you have to put yourself in the mind of somebody who sees this for the first time. Like, what is the impression being given? Because I'll tell you this right now, a lot of people complain about this. I mean, a lot. I've been talking with people in real life about it. I've been talking about about people on the internet about it. It's actually kind of ridiculous how much trouble this little dude has caused, you know? So, at the end of the day, I don't hate this guy. I honestly think if I had any advice to give to Brooks, right, like realistically, and I'm not interested in talking with him, I'm not interested in talking to Sunday. Like, Sunday, when you were asking me to get on the stream, you know what I was really doing? I was in the mountains. I shit you not, I was in the mountains and I was looking at the sky and I got to see the Milky Way. Fuck you and fuck your stupid stream. I don't give a fucking shit, all right? Um, but my advice to Brooks, at least, would be, hey, drop the daddy act. All right, it doesn't gel very well with anti-Oedipus. Like you don't want to be a daddy with anti-Oedipus. Come on, that's not what it's about. You're not. It's not about being a daddy. You know that, silly guy. Second, I would stop bullying people because what I noticed in the comments, and something that personally I personally don't care for it, but other people do. And if people are connecting to your machines and something that you're producing, I think that that's really valuable, especially if that's leading them down a new kind of interpretation of Deleuze and Guattari that is actually valuable to them. That's incredibly important. I think that you should focus on that instead of other people. Some people were accusing my channel of being just as bad as his, even though I rarely make content about other YouTubers. And that would be my advice, don't make content about other YouTubers. Just let the people discover you and your creations. I have made two videos that are not related to my typical content stream, this one and the ContraPoints video on my main channel, that are very different from my normal content. And I don't think people really like that. I think people like my video essays. I think people like, watching what I have to say about X, Y, or Z. And I think I'm going to continue with that. I'm already working on my next essay, and I think it's going to be really interesting. It's kind of, yeah, and it's just like, yeah. So those are my feelings. At the end of the day, I think that, I did the right thing in releasing this video. I think that I made the right choice because really what I did was I kind of re-territorialized the landscape. I kind of like shook things up and I I gave a sort of subjectivity to something that, or not even just a subjectivity, but kind of gave like a body to this sort of like deterritorialized subjectivity that has been going on for a while now, where people have been frustrated with this guy's behavior. And, at the end of the day, I really just want my community to be peaceful. I don't want to have to deal with people being assholes. I don't think that people should be scared to like make videos lest they be harassed on stream. Like, I'm not scared of you, but I think a lot of people are scared. And I just, it's more that I don't want to have to deal with your bullshit. I don't want to have to deal with your dumb fans, Like, your fans literally seem to be okay with, like, you being a dick. Like, I understand that, like, specifically what I said may have been a bit confusing, but I don't think you can look at that segment and be like, nah, Brooks wasn't a dick. Like, you were a dick. Okay, you were a dick to Gavin. And Gavin's one of the nicest people in our circle. Like, fuck you. That was a dick move, and you were a dick. You're a dick to pretty much like everyone you criticize, even if you have legitimate criticisms, right? Like, honestly, I don't even watch Plastic Pills, so I don't even know what they have to say, but I'm pretty sure that I would probably agree with a lot of the criticisms that you've had based on what I've heard from people. It's just that I don't agree with how you go about it. I don't agree how you're a hypocrite. Like, when you go and criticize like Acid Horizon for selling merch, like, you literally show your merch in your stream. Like, you drink from the DGQC mug. Like, come on, dude. You're being ridiculous. Come on. But yeah, I know you know the world better than me because you're so much older than me. But I try to value everybody's experience. I don't really base people's experience value on age or any other sort of qualifier. I think the world is full of stories, and I think it's worth to listen to them. And when you have somebody who's just, making a literal segment of their YouTube channel about like bad philosophy to like mock people on stream, then like you're not sharing those stories. You're not allowing the interchange to exist. You're producing a faciality machine. And at the end of the day, that's why what Brooks produces is resentment, and what I produced is not resentment, because what I produced actually analyzes the faciality of what Brooks produces. In fact, if you watch the video carefully, you'll see that I make many allusions to the faciality machine to kind of infer to the viewer that what Brooks is producing is very similar to what is described in Year Zero faciality of 1,000 Plateaus. And in that sense, viewers actually were exposed to something subconsciously that I think they'll understand better in the future. But anyways, I'm really not interested in taking this much further. I may, I'm planning on actually making a video where I do like use one of President Sunday's quotes as like a sort of launch pad to talk about something, but that's going to be talking about something that I've wanted to talk about for over a year now anyway, so that's just a way to get it talked about. I really just don't want to engage with these people. Like, if I make another video, it will be because like some sort of major development happened. I'm not interested in engaging with them, and I'm not interested in their stream, and I'm not interested in what product they have to sell. I think Brooks at this point really just needs to demonstrate like why he's not just some fucking like VR game developer like LinkedIn guy who's not who's not just trying to take over another territory. Like I think maybe he should like just kind of analyze his relationship with kind of like those poles of himself. That's just my personal opinion though. Anyways, good night.